to dispense justice without fear or favor speedily. Governor's Office correspondent Abdurrahim Adekileku brings the details.
Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke said the state is moving as evident in various developmental strides happening in all sectors. The governor said his government is poised to support the judiciary to overcome the operational challenges facing the sector while acknowledging the long list of needs of the sector. He reiterated his commitment to earlier promises of upgrade of judicial facilities and introduction of ICT in the dispensation of justice, among others. Governor Senator Adeleke described efficient judiciary as the foundation of democracy, saying democracy cannot thrive unless the judiciary is guaranteed of independence. He promised to support the judiciary unconditionally for the arm of government to deliver on its adjudication mandate. He equally asked the judges to sustain the elevation and see their appointments as a call to service.
As welcome new judges to the bench, permit me to challenge us to rededicate ourselves to several public service delivery within the context of laws and regulation should be our watchword. The people and their will, the law and the constitution, all are within a marriage to serve public interest.
Administering the oath of allegiance and judicial oath on the 4 newly appointed judges, Director of Cabinet Mr. Gbenga Adeniran asked them to discharge their duties without allowing their personal interest to influence their decisions. One after the other, the 4 new judges, Honorable Justice Mohammed Lasisi, Honorable Justice Michael Awe, Honorable Justice Fatima Sodamade, and Honorable Justice Joseph Owolawi, signed the oath before the governor, Senator Ademola Adeleke, in the presence of the Deputy Governor, Prince Kola Adewusi, and the Chief Judge of Osun State, Justice Oyebola Adepele Ojo. Responding on behalf of others, Justice Mohammed Lasisi thanked God for making their call to the bench a reality. He appreciated the governor and members of the cabinet for his dynamic leadership style. The new judges equally lauded the administrative and leadership qualities of the Chief Judge of Osun State, promising that the trust bestowed upon them will be guaranteed and guarded with all sense of objectivity, impartiality, fairness, and justice.
Absolutely nada. I mean, equality. If we fail to cabinet state today here, our deepest sense of gratitude toward our own mama, the rest of the Osun State judiciary, the record paper, the juries who present the entire review that can look at us. I mean, it's nothing honorable judgment, but I think they will do.
It has been Abdurrahim Adekileku reporting.
The National Center for Grassroots Development and Crime Prevention Initiative says they are taken aback and astonished by statements signed by the media aide to the immediate past governor of Osun State, Ismail Omepidon, titled "Why Adeleke Will Lose His Appeal Against Tribunal Judgment." The National Coordinator, Center for Grassroots Development and Crime Prevention Initiative, Olunoti Salako, indicated this in a statement on behalf of the organization. The statement hinted that Omepidon copiously and confidently asserted that the incumbent governor of the state, Senator Ademola Adeleke, would lose his appeal at the appellate court. Meanwhile, as a leading organization with mandate to propagate social ideas in all communities of Nigeria against breakdown of law and threats to peaceful coexistence, the group found this development in Osun very unfortunate and a recipe to anarchy. The organization explains that the statement made by Omepidon is by all intents and purposes an affront of the Court of Appeal and their lordships as well as the judiciary in general, more so when the judgment which favored the former governor Adegboyega Oyetola is still pending at the appellate court. The lawmaker representing Obokun State constituency, Honorable Adeyemi Adewumi, has assured rainstorm victims in Ilari, Ijesha, Obokun local government area of the state's readiness of Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke's timely intervention. Honorable Adewumi gave this assurance while inspecting the damages done by the downpour in Ilari. Parliamentary reporter Oluwatosin Oladokun has the details.
22nd will be forever be in the minds of several residents of Ilari-Ijesha, especially the victims of rainstorm, who were still counting their losses as a result of the downpour. The member representing Obokun State Constituency, Honorable Adeyemi, was in Ilari, in Obokun local government area, to inspect the havoc wreaked by the rainstorm. He expressed shock over the level at which the rainstorm destroyed property worth several millions of naira in the community. Member representing Obokun State Constituency said although the havoc done by the natural disaster was massive, but taking solace in the fact that in spite of the magnitude of the devastation, no life was lost to that effect. He thereafter sympathized with the victims who are rendered homeless as a result of the rainstorm, and just as he promised to table the matter before Governor Ademola Adeleke for the timely intervention.
Like you said, I've gone around, I've seen the level of damage, and I can see that the damage is massive. It's massive. It's massive to the extent that we need the intervention of the government. And as the custom of, or like as I always do, we're going to inform the government officially of this as the accredited representative of the people. Will officially notify the governor of the state.
In a chat with the royal father of the ancient town, the Owalari of Ilari, Oba Adejoro Otebolaku, explained that not less than 80 houses, including the multi-million naira civic center, were carted away by the heavy downpour. This is apart from the victims who sustained various degrees of injuries. The monarch noted that the only thing that can ease the pains of the homeless victims is for the well-to-do in the society to come to their aid, while he also expressed strong conviction that Governor Ademola Adeleke will act accordingly. Mrs. Florence Folonshaw, she is a widow, which the entire rows of her building was completely carted away. She appreciated Honorable Adeyemi Adeume for donating substantial amount of money to buy one of the needed materials in order to fix the affected building. In the same vein, in an attempt to speak with this octogenarian, but he granted the interview as he betrayed the emotion. Uluwatosin Oladokun, OSBC News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has said Nigeria is willing to support Turkey in Syria in any way possible, as the death toll of the earthquake that hit parts of the country's nears 1,800. This was as he commiserated with the government and people of Turkey in Syria and those who lost family and friends in the devastating earthquake in the southern Turkish city of Gaziantep. President Buhari revealed this in a statement today by Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity Garba Shehu, titled Deadly Earthquake. President Buhari commiserates with Turkey. Syria pledges support. In the early hours of today, a 7.8 magnitude quake hit the town of Bansik near Gaziantep, a border community with Syria. The region is home to millions of Turkish citizens, displaced Syrians and refugees. The World Bank country's office in Nigeria has disclosed that the incessant fuel scarcity and the inability of Nigerians to access the new notes may influence uncertainty ahead of the February 25 and March 10 elections in the country. According to a document obtained by journalists, the bank disclosed the deadline for old notes will socially and economically affect vulnerable people in the country. Earlier, the Central Bank of Nigeria announced 10th of this month as the deadline for the exchange of old notes. The bank further disclosed that 45% of Nigerian adults had a bank account, 34% pay or receive money digitally over the past year, while 9% made an in-store payment by digital means. It projected Nigeria would not be able to attain a quick increase in digital payment to enhance the strategies of new notes across the country within the stipulated deadline. Senate President Ahmed Lawan has finally spoken over the controversial candidacy of the All Progressives Congress Yobe North Senatorial District. Lawan, at his guest house in Maitama, Abuja, today commended the judiciary for strengthening democracy, stating that the ruling showed that democracy is at work. In the early hours of today, the Supreme Court declared Lawan the winner of the Yobe North Senatorial candidate over the winner of the May 28th poll, Bashir Bachina. A report added that after the ruling of the court in Damaturu, Lawan told Nigerians that he accepted the judgment and would not appeal. However, the APC delivered victory to Lawan after dragging Machina to the apex court while insisting that Lawan, who didn't contest at the primary poll, was his authentic candidate. While addressing journalists after the judgment of the apex court, Lawan appreciated God for his blessing and what transpired in the Supreme Court today, adding that the judgment on Yobe North particularly is a victory for APC in Yobe and generally APC across the country. In the meantime, 13 political parties out of the 18 political parties in the country today threatened to withdraw from participating in the much-awaited general elections slated for February 25 and March 11 if the Central Bank of Nigeria extend the deadline of February 10 for Naira swap. And parties have declared that they won't be participating in the elections if the new deadline of February 10, 2023 is shifted again. The coalition of chairmen of the political parties who commended President Muhammadu Buhari on the redesign of the 200 naira, 500 naira and 1000 naira banknote insisted that the policy must stand. The parties also knocked the Kaduna, Kogi and Zamfara state government for heading to the Supreme Court to get court injunction to extend the deadline for the validity of 3 old notes. However, the government of Kaduna, Kogi and Zamfara states have dragged the federal government to the Supreme Court seeking a restraining order to stop the full implementation of the Naira redesign policy initiated by the central bank. The chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), Abdul Rashid Bawa, has been commuted to prison for allegedly disobeying court order. The court also directed the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, to effect Bawa's arrest and remand him in Kuje prison for the next 14 days until he purges himself of the contempt. Justice Aru Ayola of the Kogi State High Court, in his judgment today, granted the application for commutation to prison of the EFCC chairman for disobeying a court ruling delivered last November, wherein the EFCC chairman was directed to produce the applicant on the case, Ali Bello. Ali Bello had dragged Bawa to court for arresting and detaining him illegally with a court ruling in his favor, only for the EFCC to arraign him for alleged money laundering 3 days after the ruling. The EFCC applications were set aside and stay of execution of the ruling were refused for want of merit. Security operatives today stopped the gathering of protesters against scarcity of new Naira note, fuel and epileptic power supply in Ibadan, the state capital. Hundreds of the protesters who gathered in front of University of Ibadan carried placards with various inscriptions against the Naira swap policy. No fewer than 15 patrol vans of men of police, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Army and Amotekun Corps stationed in front of UI to forestall breakdown of law and order. The protesters were dismantled and stopped from blocking the road, which forced them to vacate the scene of the protest. One of the protesters, Comrade Lekon Adisam from Take It Back movement of Oyo State, said enough is enough. This hardship must stop. The security men are intimidating people with their ammunition, lamenting that the numbers of security there is more than the protesters. According to him, protesters last Friday vented their anger on many innocent residents of the city. This is the news across the country coming to you from Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, Voice of the West, Nigeria. Now, our mid news message. Support the government on the day in all you do. A Nigerian Air Force maritime patrol aircraft has made an emergency landing at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. It was gathered that the aircraft, a Sena Citation CJ3, was on a routine flight to Ilorin when it lost its tires. The incident, however, forced the aircraft to land on its underside without the aid of a landing gear. The Nigerian Air Force spokesperson, Air Commander Wap Megida, confirmed the incident in a statement today. He said the aircraft carried out a controlled belly land, adding that no casualty was recorded, noting that the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amowo, has set up a committee to investigate the incident. Nigerian leaders have been charged to remember and respect their oath of office, brainstorm on possible solution to the current economic meltdown, and ensure that the country's democracy is protected. two Islamic clerics in Osun State, Imam Olatunde Abdulrazak and Mukaddam Mansuruddin Abdurrauf, gave the charge showing the installation of Alhaji Abdul Wahab Adeyemi Akala as Baba Adini of Itadu Sababu Lama Okebale Osogbo held at AUD Primary School, Okebale Osogbo's capital of Osun State. Details are now presented from our studios.
Was basically for the recognition of some of the devout Muslims who have contributed immensely to the growth and propagation of Islam. In their separate interviews, the chief imam of Osunlepo Mosque, Okebale Osogbo, Imam Olatunde Abdulrazak, and the chairman of the planning committee for the program, Mukaddam Mansuruddin Abdurrauf, stressed that Islam is a religion of peace, teaches love, unity, and moral behaviors. Imam Olatunde and Mukaddam Mansuruddin, who described the newly turbaned Baba Adini of Ittihad Sababul Ulama League of Young Islamic Clerics, Okebale Chapter Osogbo, Alhaji Abdul Wahab Adeyemi Akala, as a role model and devoted Muslim who stands tall among his peers in the propagation of Islam. Alhaji Abdul Rashid Balogun, the guest lecturer at the program, emphasized the need for steadfastness, dedication to Almighty Allah, and good deeds to fellow human beings, as it was stated in the Holy Quran. Alhaji Abdul Rashid Balogun also admonished all the newly inducted brethren to remain committed and maintain the tenets of Islam as propagated by Prophet Muhammad in the service to humanity. Prince Bolarinwa Akonde and Mr. Hamad Adeyemi Akala described Alhaji Abdul Wahab Adeyemi Akala as a philanthropist, devoted Muslim, and a responsible father to all.
It's a continuous happiness, a continuous joy, because this be the fifth or sixth Tobani has been doing the Osogbo hand in Delta State. So the thing of joy is a continuous joy. We ask Allah to continue to grant him long life and prosperity.
Celebrants' wife, including Alhaja Falilat Adeyemi Akala, Alhaja Idayat, and Alhaja Fatima, describe Alhaji Adeyemi Akala as loving, caring, and a man of honor, whose position in the uplift of Islam is second to none. In his goodwill message, the newly inducted Baba Adini of Ittihad Sababul Ulama League of Young Islamic Clerics, Okebale Chapter Osogbo, Alhaji Wahab Adeyemi Akala, appreciated Almighty Allah, the League of Imams, as well as family and friends, for the honor, with a promise to use all within his capacity for more propagation of Islam and service to Allah and humanity.
This is not the first time of being giving me title on Islamic, so I will still ask Allah to continue to be with me and help me abundantly.
Alhaji Abdul Wahab Adeyemi hails from Akala Compound, Osogbo. His philanthropic gesture cuts across the states of the Federation, including Edo and Delta states, and the country at large.
Youths have been charged not to bury their talents in sporting activities, as sport remains a competitive, lucrative business across the globe. This was the submission of those who spoke at the maiden edition of Abosede Oguluwa soccer competition. Sad Adeboye covered the finals. His report.
For the third place was decided between Phoenix Football Club and Surat Football Academy. The two teams struggled to be the second runner-up, but Surat Football Academy carried the day with a lone goal. When it was the time for the contest for the Golden Trophy, the 3FC boys slugged it out with the Awolu Football Club boys. There was no dull moment throughout the competition, but the god of soccer seems to be on the side of 3FC. At last, 3FC defeated Awolu Football Club with 2-1. Speaking at the grand finale of the soccer competition, the organizer, Mrs. Abosede Oguluwa, explained that her gesture was to further engage the youth in productive activities and as well enhance unity. Mrs. Oguluwa, who describes sport as a unifying factor, pledged
to always encourage youth in attaining their career in sports.
The youth, they played so well, and I'm ready to empower them more to beyond their expectation. I am ready. But like I said, one thing after the other. We should do what is ahead of us, and I will do more for them.
Others who spoke, including Honorable Adeoye Adelakun and Honorable Camille Oyedele, lauded the initiative of Mrs. Abosede Kasumogolua, saying that it will, in a long way, encourage youth participation in sporting activities. They implored those blessed with talent in sport to develop their talent and shun thuggery. At the end of the competition, 3FC, which emerged as the overall winner, smiled on with a giant trophy and the sum of 500,000 naira. Awolu FC with 350,000 naira, Suraj FA 250,000 naira, and Phoenix FC with 200,000 naira. For OSBC News, this is Said Adeboje reporting.
Meanwhile, Super Eagles F-man Victor Osimhen scored a brace on Sunday for his Italian Serie A Napoli to bring a total goal home to 16 this season. Adeyemi Abodere has more sports updates.
Italian Serie A leader Napoli continued its quest for glory with another 3-0 win away to Spezia. Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen made all the headlines again as he netted twice in the game. Georgia international Kisha Kavashetile netted the opening goal from the penalty spot in the 47th minute, while Osimhen doubled the lead in the 68th minute before completing his brace in the 73rd minute and securing maximum point for Napoli. Osimhen has now scored 16 league goals to remain on top of the scorers chart. The Nigerian became the fourth Napoli player to score 16 goals in the first 21 Serie A games of the season, following in the footsteps of Luis Finiscio in 1955-56 season, Edison Cavani in the 2012-2013 season, and Gonzalo Higuain in the 2015-2016 season. Similarly, Super Falcons striker Azizat Oshoala again scored a hat-trick as Barcelona beat Betis 7-0 in a Primera Division La Liga Femenino fixture on Sunday. Brazilian Gacy opened this floodgate for Barcelona as early as the 14th minute, while Oshoala, who came in the 59th minute, found the back of the net 2 minutes after our introduction. Oshoala scored again in the 77th minute and completed a hat-trick. In our last 4 games, Oshoala has scored hat-trick against Betis, Las Planas and Tenerife. Samuel Ayonide's first half brace gave Shooting Stars Sport Club of Ibadan maximum point on Sunday at the Lagos Salami Stadium in March Day 6 of the Nigerian Premier Football League. In Aba, former champions Enyimba Football Club defeated visiting Air Academy Warriors 2-0 to return to winning ways. Aqua United taught Remo Stars a bitter lesson with a 3-1 win at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo. Lobby Stars did enough to secure a valuable away win against Niger Tornadoes 1-0. Sunshine Stars secured a 1-0 win over Bayelsa United, while Dover United beat Rivers United 2-1. Group A league leader Bendel Insurance were forced to a glorious draw at home by Gombe United, while Plateau United beat Kwara United by a lone goal. Senegal completed a double when they beat host Algeria 5-4 on penalties after a goalless draw to win the African Nation Championship final on Saturday. Golden Boot winner Humain Mahios had a chance to win a competition reserved for footballers playing in their country of birth when he stepped forward to take the 10th spot kick. But his attempt was weak and straight at goalkeeper Pepe C, who saved comfortably, leaving the teams deadlocked at 4-4 and necessitating a sudden death extension to the shootout. Ousmane Diop calmly converted to hedge Senegal ahead amid whistling from many in a sellout of 39,120,000 crowd at the Stadium Nelson Mandela in Algiers. This was the second final to be decided by a shootout, with Libya beating Ghana on penalties after a goalless 2014 title decider in Cape Town. Morocco, DR Congo, Congo Republic, Libya and Tunisia won previous editions of the competition. Nigerian forward Odion Ihalo was involved in his club's win at the FIFA Club World Cup match on Saturday. The 35-year-old played for 82 minutes for Saudi Arabian side Al Hilal, who beat host Wydad Casablanca on penalties to advance. Igalo became the 4th Nigerian player to feature in the World Club Cup after Mikel Obi and Victor Moses for Chelsea in 2012 and former Flying Eagles Obiora Nwankwo for Inter Milan in 2010. Sport Update returns tomorrow. My name is Adeyemi Abodemi.
To end the news across the country, here again at the major point. The Senate President Ahmad Lawan has finally spoken over the controversial candidacy of the All Progressives Congress Yobe North Central Senatorial District. 13 local parties out of the 18 political parties in the country today threatened to withdraw from participating in the much-awaited general election slated for February 25 and March 11 if the Central Bank of Nigeria extends the deadline of February 10 for Naira swap. Security operatives today stopped the gathering of protesters against scarcity of new Naira note, fuel and electric power supply in Ibadan, Oyo State capital. The Nigerian Air Force Maritime Patrol aircraft has made an emergency landing at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. And that was the news across the country, edited by Tim Sokwe Olayiwola and delivered by Olushola Egbodofo. For more about us, you can visit www.osbcng.org. Thanks for listening. Good evening.
It's entertaining, it's educating, really informative, qualitative news as it breaks. It's OSBC Radio 2, 104.5 FM. Numero uno south of the Sahara, voice of the West.
Everyone is at the table for lunch. Mom is bringing in the jollof rice and then